So welcome to the class of Economics 11th Statistics. Today we are starting with next chapter, that is organization of data, where we are going to see how a raw data or a data in unorganized form, since when it is in collected form, it need to be organized or classified in some suitable manner or form. So this chapter is based entirely upon this objective. So we are starting with the topic organization of data. It is basically concerned with the classification of unorganized data or raw data, right, into organized group or classes that we call it as series. Now, how they can be classified in according to some distinguished qualities or attributes or features. For instance, suppose if we have taken an exam of a class, right, for results, if we need to prepare, we just need to classify that students' data in the form of marks of different subjects according to their percentage in ascending or descending order as per their roll numbers. We just need to organize the data systematically. Fine. So that systematic data, if we are going to classify, it will be covered all this in this chapter. So, for example, if they are given also the marks of student of class 11 in an exam can be classified in accordance with the subject roll number and percentage. So, how we can classify the data? We just need to look over for some series that we are going to establish here with you. Okay. First of all, before that, we just need to see the objective. Why the organization or classification of data takes place? In order to make it more simple, the raw data must be more simple to understand. For this, we just need to classify them. It should be brief, it means we just need to limit the data in some suitable classes. So it should be very brief, it should be meaningful, pertaining to the subject of inquiry or objective. It should represent the data distinguishedly. Every data must be different from another and must be in a suitable comparison mode. It means the objective of comparison should also be facilitated between the series items. Rational. It means the data arranged must be in a scientific manner so that they must fulfill the objective of inquiry reasonably. Then it should be attractive. Fine. It means it should be so attractive that a simple person can also see and verify. Then features of good classification means it should include all the items systematically. If I say there are 50 students in a class, all the marks of 50 students must be indicated in the particular result, right? Let it be if he or she is absent, even then we just need to add absent, right? But we can say whatever the marks the student have received, we must include all the marks so that we must be able to get the result and performance of the class as a whole. Then clarity must be maintained. The data should be very clear to understand, to see, to watch, so that we must be able to derive the necessary conclusions. Then data must be homogeneous, that I used to do in the previous chapter also, that before that unless the data is homogeneous, we will not be able to facilitate the effective comparisons. It means the data must be homogeneous or same. It must not be heterogeneous. Fine. It means if the marks of 4 subjects have been given out of 100, fifth one must also be given out of 100, not of any 50, 60 or 80 marks. Then stability of data. The data must be so stable that it represents the entire form of series in an equal manner, so that there must not be any upper or lower differences in any part of the series. If I am telling you, if the student marks is from 100, right, they should not go beyond 100. कभी 100 में से 110 ले तो सुना है? नहीं. Fine. So it means then data should represent the stability. Then scope of change. Yes, data should be changed, or we can say the data should be such that it must be prone to change. Fine. Since if any student, if he or she is unsatisfied with his or her result, they can go for evaluation. If the evaluation comes for the increase in marks, the marks should be changed. That's why the scope of change should be necessary, right? It means suitability, it should suit the purpose of the inquiry, as I told you. Fine. So basically these are the objectives and these are the basically features of good classification. Now, coming to the basis, we can classify the data on the following basis. Basically, first of all, in geographical classification, it means we can classify the data as per region wise, as per location wise. So here the data is being classified as per region. Say as per country can be the region, state can be the region, city can be the region, north, east, west, south can be the region. It means if we are going to classify the data as per geographical or spatial, we just need to classify the data as per region or location wise. Second, the data can also be classified on the basis of time. It means data can be classified on the basis of period or years or months or days or weeks, even for hours also. So if the data is being classified on the basis of time, we can say it is classified on the basis of chronological order. Then data can also be classified on the basis of certain attributes or qualities. For example, if I say that there is a population census, right? If we are going to classify the entire data of population census on the basis of, say, male, female, and in this male, female, we can categorize in the form of child, adult, and old age. See, if we are making the attributes in uniform way, we can split their attribute in the numerous forms. It means whenever we are classifying the data on the basis of some attributes or features or qualities, we can say we are classifying on the basis of qualitative classification. Right? It can be simple, it can be manifold. Again, I say if the student is getting more than 80% marks, we can let him in the category of meritorious student. Less than 80%, we can let them in two segments: pass student and unclear student. Unclear student, we just need to segregate in terms of male, female, pass in terms of male, female, and meritorious in terms of male and female. It means we are just categorizing on the basis of significant attributes so that we are facilitating qualitative classification. Simple classification where there is only one attribute. Manifold classification where they can have bivariate or multivariate attributes. So bivariate means two variables or two attributes. Multivariate means there can be multiple variables, as I told you just now. Fine. Net loss is quantitative or numerical. It means if you need to compare the sales from 0 to 10,000, 10,000 to 20,000, 20,000 to 30,000 units of output. This is basically the classification of quantitative. It means whenever we are going to prepare the slab of income tax, say from 0 to 5 lakh rupees, there will be no income tax. From 5 lakh to 10 lakh rupees, there will be 10% income tax. From 10 lakh to 15 lakh, there will be 20% tax. From 15 to 30, there will be 40%, and so on. It means when we are making classification on the basis of numerical form, we can say this is quantitative classification. So these are basically the mode of classification. This is region wise or location wise. This is on the basis of time. This is on the basis of qualitative features or variables or attributes, and this is on the basis of numbers. Number slab. Now coming to main part of the question, since they are going to fill the series, we just need to know about the variable. Variables are basically the distinguished characteristics upon which the series can be developed. So series, for developing the series, we just need to know that variable can be of two forms: discrete and continuous. Discrete variable are those variables that just accept only complete numbers like 1, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15, 20. That basically the natural numbers, or we can say without any decimal or fraction numbers. Whereas continuous series can take fraction numbers also. That's why the continuous variables are being expressed in the class intervals like 0 to 5. So we have two types of variable. One is discrete, one is continuous. Discrete variable, again I say, is basically concerned with the complete numbers. Right? It means they doesn't accept the fractions or decimal. Whereas all such fraction and decimal numbers along with natural numbers are being accepted by continuous variables. So we have two forms of variable, discrete and continuous, and accordingly we can prepare our series. So we can have the series, we have different form of series. Series without frequency is known as individual series, where only numbers are being represented. It means now instantly if I need to represent the series, for example, if I need to represent the individual series, I just need to put direct number. One, two, three, four, five, six. If we say these are the marks of 12 candidates out of 100, we can say this represents the individual series. Since individual series has no frequency. Now it's a term. What do you mean by frequency? Frequency is basically concerned with the repetition of a particular number as many times as we can. So if I say with respect to frequency series, we can say frequency series can be divided into two forms. One is in the form of discrete, one in the form of continuous, according to the respective variables. So, as per discrete series, say if I tell about the number of students, if say these are the marks and these are the number of students, say 5, 6, 8 and 10, or we can say 9 and 10. So 13, 16, 11, 8 and 10. It means it represents that 13 students have obtained 5 marks, 16 students have obtained 6 marks, 11 students have obtained 8 marks, 8 students have obtained 9 marks and 10 students have obtained 10 marks. It means basically the complete numbers are being represented. It symbolizes that none of them are getting any marks in decimal form, or we can say half or 3/4. So basically this is the frequency. Number of students represent the frequency. It means how many students are getting 5 marks is being represented by the 13. So 13 is the number that tells the 5 is 13 times repeated as the marks of the student. Likewise, 6 is being repeated, has been repeated 16 times, or we can say 16 students have got 6 marks. So it basically the frequency that has been occurred. We can say again it is the number of occurrences, right? So 5 occurred 3 times, 6 occurred 16 times, 8 occurred 11 times, 9 occurred 8 times, 10 occurred 10 times. You can say either repetitions, you can say either occurrences. Now if I say any of the students have got the marks in decimal, say if some students have got 8.5 or some students have got 7.5, then it becomes very difficult for us to represent in such kind of series. Since it undertakes only complete values, for this we just need to go for continuous series. It means if I say 0 to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 6, 6 to 8, 8 to 10. And the number of students, if I say 0 to 10, students are getting 6, 8, 4, 9 and 5. It means it tells me that the student from range 0 to 2, student can get either 1 also, can get either half also, 3/4 also, 1.5 also. It means the student, 6 students are getting the marks in under the range of 0 to 2. 8 students are getting the marks under the range of 2 to 4. 4 students are getting the marks under the range of 4 to 6. 9 students are getting the marks under the range of 6 to 8. And this 6 to 8 can be 6.5 also, 7 also, 7.5 also. It means we can include the fractions. This is what the continuous series is all about. Now if we say continuous series has their own types, and that can be segregated into these forms. Discrete series has another name, that is frequency array. It can also be called a frequency array, frequency groups. With respect to frequency distribution, now if we talk about frequency distribution, or we can say it is also known as continuous series or frequency distribution, one is the same thing. Frequency distribution, continuous series, has several forms. One is exclusive series. Taking the example of this series is a frequency distribution series. It means if we exclude the upper limit item, means we are talking about the class and class interval, so better I should take before that the term class limits and class size. Class is basically the range, right? Range where the data is being represented according to its frequency. So if we talk about the class, this is basically the class or the group where the particular data has been represented systematically according to marks in the students. If we come to the class limits, we say it is basically the respective limitation of the class interval that we need to undertake. This is basically class limit can be of two forms, lower limit and upper limit. Lower limit and upper limit. So these limits indicates the minimum and maximum value that a class can undertake in a particular class interval. Right? This is basically entire class. Entire class has been divided into various intervals, and every interval has class limits, lower limit, upper limit. Fine. Then class size is basically, or we can say class magnitude, is basically the difference between upper limit and lower limit. It means if I talk about the class interval, size of this class, it means it will be of 2. If I subtract upper limit from lower limit in any of the things, we can get equal class interval, or we can get 2 as the equal class interval in all the particular level of class intervals in this class. So class is basically represent the entire form of classification of series, right, with its frequency. Secondly, class limit indicates the minimum and maximum value that a particular class interval can hold. Then size of the class indicates the difference between the upper limit and lower limit. Difference between upper and lower limit. Fine. Again I say, in a continuous or frequency distribution series, there can be equal class interval, there can be unequal class interval. It means if I produce the series like this, 0 to 2, 2 to 6, 6 to 12, 12 to 18, 18 to 20. See, these series are having unequal class interval. This is having the class interval of 2. This is basically size of interval of as 4. This is at 6. This is at 6, and this is at 2. So we can have different sizes, and we can say these classes are known as unequal class interval classes. Right? So we can have equal class interval also, we can have unequal class interval also, depending upon the equal and unequal sizes. Now, we are talking about the various type of frequency distribution. Number one was exclusive. So if we talk about exclusive series, just to focus on very carefully everyone. If we talk about exclusive series, it means the upper class interval is never included in exclusive series. Or we can say upper class interval is excluded in this form of series that is called as exclusive series. Fine. Now, if we talk about, this is basically in the case of exclusive. If we talk about inclusive class intervals, say 0 to 2, it means the upper limit will also be included in the given interval of class. It means 0, 1, 2. Again, next class interval will be starting from 3 to say 5. Next can be from 6 to 8. another can be 9 to 11 and so on. Right? It means now you will be asking, sir, where will be the values in between 2 to 3 will go? That's why we tell you students, we just need to convert inclusive series into exclusive series. Got it? For converting it inclusive into exclusive, we just need to subtract, yani for converting inclusive into exclusive series, you just need to do only one thing. Take the lower limit of the second class interval and upper limit of the first class interval and subtract them. Again, I repeat once again. We say take the lower limit of the second class interval and upper limit of the first class interval, subtract them. It means we can say lower limit minus upper limit. This will be for the second class interval. This will be for the first class interval divided by 2. So if it comes at 3 minus 2, 1 divided by 2 is 0.5. We just need to do only one thing. We just need to plus 0.5 into subtract 0.5. So the class interval that will be in the exclusive mode will be go like this. 0 to 2.5, 2.52, say 5.5, 5.5 to say 8.5 and 8.5 to 11.5. See, it becomes a exclusive class interval. Now we come to open-ended. Open-ended class interval are basically open from their lower to higher class interval. Ten to 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 40, 40 to 50, say 50 and above. Whenever you find the class, or we can say the frequency distribution or continuous series in this form, when we are having an open-ended from both corners of the class, we say it is basically the open-ended class interval. We just need to convert them into exclusive series by just making the difference. If we are having the equal class and difference, it is not difficult for us to convert it into normal exclusive series. Like now, if we come to the fourth point, that is cumulative frequency series. It means a cumulative frequency series is that form of series where cumulative frequency is also given along with the defined series. It can be segregated in two forms. One is less than series, another one can be more than series. So, if we take the example of less than series, say less than 5, less than 10, less than 15, less than say 20, less than say 25, and if the cumulative frequency is given along with it, right? For example, we can say it may be 5, 1, 4, 10, 16 and 28. What we need to do? We just need to convert into a normal exclusive series by making this series in such a way, by framing out the frequency also. So x will be 0 to 5, 5 to 10, 10 to 15, 15 to 20, and 20 to 25. Okay. So how can it be? We just need to frame frequency from cumulative frequency by subtracting second series item, second cumulative frequency from the first cumulative frequency. So first will be 1, then will be 3, then will be 6, 10 minus 4 is 6, 16 minus 10 is again 6, 20 minus 6 is 12. So by this we can convert the less than series into normal series of cumulative frequency, or we can say continuous series or frequency distribution. So this is the very first example, this is the very first form of cumulative frequency series where we have seen the lesser series. Now we are having more than series values. More than series value can be going up a way. For example, more than 0, say more than 10, more than 20, more than 30, more than 40. And if the cumulative frequency will be given in the reverse order form, say it may be 30, 28, 20, 11 and 1. So now if we need to convert that into normal series of x and f, we just need to see 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30 and 30 to say 40, 40 to 50. Right? So more than 0, more than 10, just need to make a subtraction, that will be 2. More than 10 was 28, so it means 28 minus 30 will give you 30 minus 5. We just need to subtract from upper into lower. 30 minus 20 will be giving you 2. 28 minus 8 will be giving you 8. Since we are seeing more than 10 or 28, it means the less than 10 will be 2 as theta or frequency. 2 frequency will be in the range of 0 to 10. Again, it say if we are having 20 minus 8, it means we can say more than 20 or 20 members. So less than 20 will be of 10 members from 0 to 40. So what we need to do? We just need to subtract the lower item from upper item. So 30 minus 28 is 2, 20 minus 20 is 8, 20 minus 11 is 9, 11 minus 1 is 9, 1 minus 0 is 1. So this is basically the less than and more than values. Now last is mid value frequency. If the mid value frequency is given, say 5, 15, 25, 35 and 45, and frequency are given as 4, 3, 8, 4, 2. If we need to convert it into a regular course of exclusive series, what we need to do? We just need to make in the form of class interval. Now how can we produce the class interval? We just need to remember a formula that is vital for it, and the formula lies over here. See, first of all, we just need to see the mid value, right? Take any mid value. Say if we take mid value as 5, upper one, 5. Now interval. Interval can be derived from the basic difference in any of the portions. Say 15 minus 5, 25 minus 15, 35 minus 25, 41 minus 35. Everyone is getting the interval of 10. We need to just find out the upper limit as well as lower limit. Fine. So in order to get upper limit, we just need to see the mid value plus interval divided by 2. Whereas in order to get the lower limit, again we need to take the mid value and subtract by I by 2. Fine. Now, if we say mid value is 5 plus interval was 10 upon 2, it means 5 plus 5 was 10. This is upper limit. If we talk about lower limit, again we say mid value was 5 minus I was 10 by 2. It means 5 minus 5 is 0. So for the first interval, our class interval will be 0 to 10. And likewise, we can continue with it, and you will be getting the respective class interval for all the particular values, all the particular mid values. Sorry, fine. So basically, this is the class interval that we have framed. Frequency will remain same; they will not change any movement. Fine. So student, this is basically the organizational data that we have taken to you. I hope that this might be a ready-handed, good source of information for you all. Right? Thank you so much, student, for joining the class. Keep going on for our e-lectures. They will be readily helpful for you all in completing your assignments and doing your own questions. Right? Thank you so much, students. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy.